friends. This is Barb Gully from Barbs Tea Service, and we are back.
Yep, go ahead. Yep,
Okay.
we're good.
Took another look at the screen.
Yeah.
We had experienced a little
This is take 2.
technical difficulty, so
Yeah, we're all good.
we're all good. Thanks. Okay, so we're back in the studio, courtesy On TV Studios.
Yep.
Here for Podcast 35 with, as always, my co-host, studio engineer, and arm candy, Chris Gully. Hi, Chris.
Here we are, so named, as I like to say. Here we go.
So named.
Yep.
And we are going to be talking more about your name and your title.
Wow, I can't wait.
I know. It's pretty exciting.
It's all about me. All right.
With love, Chris.
There you go.
That's a new Netflix series. Okay.
It shouldn't be.
No. So today we are in the studio. We're experiencing much felicity.
Yes.
And as we talked about before, this year marks the 250th anniversary of Jane Austen's birth.
It's amazing.
It is.
She's holding up well.
She is remarkable.
Yep.
And there's a lot of events going on to honor this, to commemorate this year. And we're participating in some of them. But in that spirit, last week we watched a couple of Pride and Prejudice film adaptations.
Okay.
We watched the one from 1940 and the one from 2005.
It's called Doing the Work.
It is, yes. We were doing a little bit of the background.
Yep.
Very enjoyable.
Yes.
And the 2005 Austen film has a tie-in to the Masterpiece Theater series that's coming out in May.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that.
Great.
So we've got another ambitious agenda.
We do.
And we're going to try and cover as much of this as we can, but on our wish list to cover today.
Very good.
Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, the big and small screen adaptations, the upcoming Austen series, other Austen-related events going on, and in our ongoing review of With Love, Megan.
We have to keep talking about this, don't we?
We do.
All right.
So we are going to talk about who's entitled to a title.
Okay, everybody should be.
Well,
but not everybody.
No,
Okay.
not everyone, because then would it have kind of the clout?
No.
As you would know, Lord Glencoe.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're going to talk about who's entitled to a title.
Very good.
And then if we have time, we'll talk about accessories.
Okay.
And this trending accessory that we predicted in our in-out list of January.
Wow.
That it was going to be a big hit.
Amazing.
A big in.
Okay.
And we might also say that it's something for Pinterest.
Okay. All right.
Okay, but first tea.
Here we are. I love that pouring sound.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so today we're having Lady Jane.
Okay.
This is a blend from Twinings Tea.
Okay.
And let's take a little sample.
All right. Oh, now this is very citrusy.
Yes.
Very light.
Yes.
It's I mean, you wouldn't almost know it's a black tea in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so this was
Almost herbal.
I think yes.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so this is kind of interesting because this was made by Twinings and they came out with it in the 1990s.
Okay.
Because it was to appeal to North American taste. A lot of North Americans were not that crazy about Earl Grey.
Yeah.
Felt it was a little too strong. But you're picking up a lot of citrusy taste. You said kind of herbal.
Right.
So it's got orange, lemon, and of course bergamot.
Okay. All right.
So it's maybe a kinder, gentler Earl Grey.
Okay. No, I like it.
I do too. I really do. And these blends, Earl Grey, this Lady Grey, Lady Jane tea, would have been, of course, very much post-Jane.
Right.
Earl Grey didn't come out until the 1820s, 1830s.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Jane died in 1817.
Okay.
But Twinings was a favorite place for the Austen family to purchase their tea.
Yep.
And when Rachel, our daughter Rachel, was in England for her study abroad in 2011, I joined her there for a week. And we went to the original Twinings store. It's still in London today.
Right.
On the Strand. And although the interior is a little bit different, the outside still has the same doorway.
Okay.
Very distinctive, and it has significance. And then we talk about that in our Jane Austen Tea Talks.
Okay. Yeah.
But what a thrill to go into Twinings, just as the Austens would have, and purchase tea.
There's a bit of history there.
There is a bit of history.
Okay.
So that was quite a treat.
Right.
But while we're drinking our Twinings tea, like the Austens would have,
Yes.
let's talk about some of the Pride and Prejudice movies.
Okay.
Okay, so we watched the 2005 version of Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
That's with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden.
Yes.
And 2005, I originally saw it in the theaters with Rachel.
Yeah. Now, you were not originally real happy with all of it because of more or less the sound was kind of an issue with some of the scenes.
I thought some of the pivotal scenes.
I mean, it's a technical thing, but the story was good.
The story was good. I thought that when they were having this, when Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet are having this conversation, very important conversation, it's raining.
Yes.
I mean, and it's very hard to hear.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a style choice I didn't care for. I also thought there was a lot of close-ups.
Yes.
Of Keira Knightley.
All right. I mean, I get it.
Maybe you're not going to complain.
Right.
She's pretty.
The camera loves her.
She does have a very photogenic face.
Right.
But it was a little bit, they could have maybe used some of that time to explain a little bit more.
Right.
But
okay.
I get it. So when we were we were at the Pemberley.
Right.
That they used.
The exterior.
The exterior. Oh, some of the interior too for this one.
Oh, yeah.
For the 2005. So they have we got, this is where they filmed Chatsworth.
Right.
We were there in 2018. And you get to see some of the rooms in the interior that they used, as well as the exterior, but also the gallery.
Yes.
And remember, that was all those sculptures they had down there?
That actually was a treat. That was very interesting.
It was. Yeah. It was. And they added something new, though, this version.
Okay.
They had the bust of Mr. Darcy in this gallery.
Right.
And it's Matthew McFadden.
Oh, okay. Right.
And the housekeeper remarks to Elizabeth Bennet, "Isn't he a handsome man?"
Yes, he was a babe.
He kind of was.
Okay.
And that bust of Mr. Darcy, Matthew McFadden's Mr. Darcy, shows up in the gift shop.
Okay.
And, I always love a good gift shop.
Right.
So that's in the gift shop.
Right.
And do you remember what it said underneath the bust?
Well, it was, something about some unsanitary practice that you shouldn't do. Share.
Yes. They said, "Please do not kiss."
Okay.
And I have said that I'm a rule follower.
Yes.
And I wouldn't break the rules.
Right.
However, I had to admit that if it had been Colin Firth, Mr. Darcy, maybe I would have broken the rule.
Oh, boy. Okay.
But now I'm taking another stand.
Okay.
I'm changing my opinion because after seeing the 2005 movie again, I'm really a huge fan of Matthew McFadden's Mr. Darcy.
Not unlike Jane Austen, Elizabeth Bennet, who initially had not a great opinion of Mr. Darcy. Now you are changing your mind about this version of Mr. Darcy.
That's right.
Wow, did I just...
and the original title was called, working title was First Impressions.
Okay.
So, yes.
You're just living it.
You're so astute.
All right.
I hadn't caught that. But yes, because my opinion, my good opinion, once given.
Yes.
No, I think it was colored by the 1995 version.
Right.
It had only been 10 years.
Right.
I was still having that effect of Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy.
Right.
But now looking at it, I think Matthew McFadden, you did well. And if I were back in that gift shop, maybe I would break the rules. Okay. So what did you think overall of the movie?
Oh, it was good. I mean, so I'm keeping my man card, but I will say that I did enjoy it because it moved along. I mean, it was, we're familiar with the plot, and necessarily, you're taking a rather lengthy novel and taking it down to 2 hours or whatever. Right. And so you got to edit. And they did a good job, close-ups and rainstorms notwithstanding. No, you got the gist of it. I'm sure there are some things that were important to the original story that they had to necessarily not really touch on a whole lot.
Exactly. I think that was that, and as you mentioned, the time constraint.
Right.
But they did it. You're right. They did. They touched it. And another thing I kind of liked was that they kept the personality of the Bennett sisters.
Right.
They were young and they're kind of
flighty
and so
silly, the silliest.
Yes, the silliest.
Yeah.
Okay, but Mr. Collins,
right,
in the 2005 version, very good.
Yeah.
I still think the best one is from 1995,
right,
because that actor captures that creepy
element. Right, yeah.
But this actor for the 2005 is Tom Hollander.
Right.
And remember where we saw his work last year?
Yes. It was the Truman Capote thing.
Right, the FX series.
And he completely, until you mentioned that, I had not put those two together.
Right.
He completely submerged himself in the Truman Capote character, and who was also maybe a little bit on the creepy side too. So it's a type.
Definitely. So with this Mr. Collins, so he's the cousin.
Right.
And he stands to inherit the Bennett.
Right, through the primogenitor.
Right. So because the Bennett family has only daughters,
right,
it's going to go to this guy. And he has the dangerous combo of being self-important and dim-witted.
Yes.
And so he sort of goes through life thinking he's just amazing.
Jane Austen must have encountered a lot of people like that, because there's not a lot of time spent on that character in the book, but that's one that you remember because it was so well written, and people instantly, I know that that guy,
right.
So, he's in the next cube next to me working.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Yeah, right.
So every movie takes some license,
right,
and they put it on their own flavor.
Right.
And I think the 2005 version does a real good job of imparting the dialogue of Mr. Collins.
Right.
In putting in just how
unctuous he was. Yeah.
Unctuous. The most mundane things he thinks sound profound.
Right.
And they capture this in this conversation he has when the first time he's having dinner with the Bennett family at their house.
Right.
So it's the 5 Bennett daughters, Mr. and Mrs. Bennett,
okay,
and Mr. Collins.
Right.
And Mr. Collins says, "And what excellent boiled potatoes."
Nice. Okay.
"It's been many years since I've had such an exemplary vegetable.
Okay.
To which of my fair cousins should I compliment the cooking?"
Okay.
Well, first of all, Mrs. Bennett hastily adds, "We are perfectly able to keep a cook."
Okay.
That was a bit of a diss because he didn't think they had the means to have a cook. That was a thing. But this excellent boiled potatoes, this isn't in the book.
Right.
But it's in the movie just to kind of give an example of just...
Yeah.
And it became a meme back in 2005.
Okay.
Really the target of a lot of humor.
Yep.
And if we can go to camera 3.
You've got the merch.
I want to show a tea towel I purchased. And it has...
Got it.
The Collins Cousin Cafe, home of the excellent boiled potatoes.
That's great. That is great.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll move on.
All right, we're back.
All right. So let's talk about the 1940 version.
Okay.
This is the one that's starring Greer Garson and Laurence Olivier.
Okay.
Both great English actors.
Right.
And this has a lot of tie-ins that are kind of different.
Right.
First of all, the screenplay was co-written by Aldous Huxley.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know.
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
But do you know what one of his famous words was?
Oh, of course. It was recipes for boiled potatoes. Oh, no, wait. I'm mixing this up. No, it was Brave New World.
Yes, that you're right.
Okay.
The second one is right.
Okay.
And so it's kind of a twist, right?
Sure.
I didn't see that coming, by the way. Okay. So he wrote this.
Right.
And a lot of the dialogue is taken right from the novel.
Right.
Some of the pivotal scenes.
Sure.
But there's also a few things that are just
off-putting.
Off-putting. And First of all, the costumes.
Yes.
The costumes are more Gone with the Wind than they are Regency England.
Right. Really kind of takes you out of it.
It does, because they have the poofy
Right.
skirts and the big sleeves.
Yep.
And I've seen a number of reasons given
Right.
as to why this may have happened. One is maybe they were trying to
Reuse costumes.
reuse costumes, retool. There were
Right.
budget considerations.
Right. And this is filmed in England, and World War II is just kind of getting started, and who knows what other shortages they're dealing with to also put on a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So and that would have been a consideration, because they'd have to retool everything.
Sure.
The other thing too is people thought, well, maybe they were trying to popularize get on the
bandwagon.
The bandwagon,
Yeah.
because Gone with the Wind was so popular, and
right.
maybe capitalize on that.
Yeah.
But another diversion
Yes.
is the ending
Yes.
of the movie.
Right.
And so Mr. Collins, we talked about him. He has got the patronage of Lady Catherine de Bourgh.
Right.
He fawns all over
Right.
her. She's this
Yeah.
high and mighty aristocrat.
Yeah.
So in the 1940 version, though,
Right.
the ending is very different than the novel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to suggest
Yeah.
that if you are in a book club
Yes.
and the discussion is supposed to be on Pride and Prejudice,
Right.
read the book.
Okay.
Don't skip over and watch this movie,
Right.
like George Costanza
Yeah,
did.
that's right.
In Seinfeld,
All right.
he belonged to a book club. He was supposed to read Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Right. It was too long.
It was too long.
Yeah.
He thought, I'll just watch the movie.
Yeah.
This is the one with Audrey Hepburn and
Right.
George Peppard.
Right.
So George Peppard, in the book, the character is really back to Truman Capote.
It is. Yes.
Talking again about
Yeah.
Truman Capote.
Right.
And in the movie, it's very different.
It's it kind of got a little it was a change.
It was a big change.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this movie, you'll see that Lady Catherine de Bourgh
Right.
kind of teams up. She kind of partners with
Yeah.
Mr. Darcy
Yes.
at the end.
Right.
And to test Miss Bennet,
Yeah.
that did not happen in the book.
Okay.
Also, another thing that's may take you out a little bit is that Greer Garson is 36.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She is playing Elizabeth Bennet, who is not yet 1 in 20.
It could be a stretch.
Could be a stretch. But we see that a lot in movies.
Right.
They take a little
Right.
leeway there.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
In the 1995 version of Sense and Sensibility,
Okay.
starring Emma Thompson,
Right.
so she's playing Eleanor Dashwood.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Eleanor is 19 or
Right.
20 years old. Emma Thompson is 34.
Okay.
But she wrote the screenplay.
Okay.
So I think she might have had some influence.
Okay.
And I'm going to say here that if I were to write an adaptation of a Jane Austen novel and
Right.
I'm the heroine,
Right.
I'm going to take maybe 10, 40 years off.
You know what? So we talked about this before, I think a few podcasts back. I wonder if there should be a rule. It was that dating rule, dating
Yes,
age
right,
rule.
right.
So it's like age divided by 2 plus 7.
Right.
So maybe there should be a rule about the character. If you're going to be, a character in a movie, and you got to play somebody younger, there's probably some kind of formula. What do you think about that?
I think that's needed. I think it really is. You are onto something, Chris.
Okay, all right.
Okay. But she also probably had some influence in who got casting.
Right.
And
Yeah.
good for her. Hugh
Yeah.
Grant as your leading man. Go for it.
You could do worse.
Yes. 15 years younger, and that's
Right.
who you cast.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Let's talking about 1995.
Okay.
Let's talk about the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
That is my favorite.
The gold standard.
The gold standard. And I think part of it is because it is done in 6 episodes that
Right.
are almost an hour long.
Right.
So they really can capture a little bit of the nuance.
Okay.
Right. And they took some license as well.
Yes.
And it involved the estate at Pemberley.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we have also been to that Pemberley.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was Lyme Park.
Yeah. That was an adventure.
It was an adventure. One of these days we'll talk about how
Right.
we
We took a side trip.
took aside. There's another Lyme Park in England. But anyway, so this one has the pond.
Right.
And what they did was with Mr. Darcy, he comes back from a trip a day early.
Right.
No one's expecting him. He's all kind of, sweaty from the long trip. So he sees the pond and he just sort of, impetuous. He just says, okay, I'm going to take a little dip,
cool off. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when he comes out, he runs into Elizabeth Bennet.
Uh-huh. Oh, boy.
Not in the book.
Yes.
But I think the world is a better place for Colin Firth, Mr. Darcy, coming out in a wet T-shirt.
Very nice.
All right. So I really do like the 1995 version. Oh, and Miss Bingley.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Another little tie-in.
Right.
Yeah.
So the woman who plays Bingley's sister,
right,
Anna Chancellor,
right,
in the 1990 version, is actually a descendant of Jane Austen.
Not direct, but
no,
yeah, right. Okay.
Through her brother.
Okay.
Through her brother Edward.
Okay.
Austen Knight.
Wow. Okay.
The rich guy. So she said a lot of historians think that's really more what Jane Austen
would have looked like.
Yeah,
that is so interesting,
isn't it?
Yeah.
She's tall. She
Yeah.
got lighter hair, more the angular face. Other than that.
Yeah, that
picture
drawing.
we always see with
Yeah.
rounder face. So so that's also kind of a cool thing. But getting back to the 2005 version, a couple of interesting things. It is going to be re-released in theaters, celebrating its 20th anniversary, the year of the 250th anniversary of Jane's birth.
It all lines up
on April 20th.
All right.
So I think that might be an adventure for us.
Very good.
Also, the series that we talked about before, Miss Austen, it's coming out on Masterpiece Theater in May.
Right.
This is based on the Jill Hornsby book,
right,
Miss Austen, that we reviewed a couple of years ago on our blog.
Right.
And this is about Cassandra Austen.
Yes.
Long after Jane has passed away.
Right.
She's in charge of her legacy.
Right.
So she goes on this journey to kind of look for correspondences that might
damage the reputation.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is going to be great. I'm so excited that this is going to be out there. And the actress who plays Cassandra is Keely Hawes.
Okay.
Guess who she's married to?
Not another connection.
Yes. She's married to Matthew McFadden.
Okay. We just can't escape from this universe, can we?
No.
Right.
No. And I've kind of wondered, okay, I wonder if they ever speak Regency period to each other.
I've never wondered that.
I have.
Okay.
And perhaps one day, Keely is saying to Matthew, I must ardently tell you how much I love your boiled potatoes.
Nice.
All right. So before we leave Jane Austen, just a word that we've got some events coming up.
Yep.
We will cover those a little bit later.
Yep.
And then switching gears from Jane to Meghan.
Okay. Here we go.
Right. And we have, we've been talking about this a lot. I've watched I've watched 7 episodes.
Right.
One more to go.
Okay.
And I will tell you.
You're a trooper.
Unless something changes radically in the last one. I'm comparing it to how you described last week.
Yeah.
Your perfect Saturday afternoon with the recliner.
Yeah.
You turn on golf.
Yep.
Get that perfect volume.
Yep. And it's like it's a call to nap.
It's a call to nap.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's what I would do for my Saturday afternoon. Get the recliner, turn on With Love, Megan. There's nothing that's going to wake you up. So, some nice white.
Okay.
Anyway, last week we talked about the surname Sussex.
Right.
But then I started thinking, okay, well, she, at the end of every episode, she has, in the credits, executive producer Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Yes.
And I wondered, as you are a title person, is she entitled to the title?
I have literally no opinion on this, but...
Well, I found out.
Okay.
So Newsweek, an article in Newsweek last year, they explained it thusly.
Okay.
So Queen Elizabeth II granted her grandson Harry 3 titles, and the most senior of this was the Duke of Sussex.
Right.
And when he married Meghan, she became the Duchess of Sussex, but she's not a duchess in her own right.
Right.
So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Here. And then they also had the style of HRA.
Okay.
She could be Her Royal Highness.
Okay.
Those were taken away when they split from the royal family.
Right.
although they still have legally entitled to them. But Chris, you are a laird because you own property in Scotland.
Yes. Our state has 10 square feet of some land. Actually, it's a good cause. It's to reclaim some forest area in Glencoe, which is in the far northwest side of Scotland, and so it was part of a conservancy process, and so I think I got that as a gift or something.
You did,
yeah. All right.
From Lady Glencoe.
All right,
but this title is not a noble title.
No, it's
so
not.
You cannot sit in the House of Lords.
Nor would I want to.
That dashes that dream.
Okay, all right.
Okay, but you are considered part of the gentry.
Okay.
And you can be addressed in a number of different ways.
Okay.
So I want people to take note
All right.
for when they see you next.
Okay, should we cut to the certificate?
Yes,
All right.
to show that this is legit.
Okay, there are my papers. It's like the American Kennel Club. My pedigree.
There you are.
All right.
The Lord Show.
Okay.
Okay, so informally you can be addressed as Lord Gully.
Okay.
Or Lord Gully of Glencoe.
Okay.
Formally, because remember the whole dialogue with Lord Mountbatten?
Yeah.
Ivor Mountbatten
He
gave the whole thing for his brother. Okay, so formally, you should be styled as the much-honored Gully of Glencoe.
Okay.
The much-honored Gully, the Lord of Glencoe, or the much-honored Gully, Lord of Glencoe.
That's a lot.
Isn't it?
It's a lot. Okay.
So, what's your favorite? What do you like?
You can you can use any of those. What's that joke? But don't call me late for dinner. Ha ha ha. Okay.
You're gonna lord that over.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we've got just a little bit of time left.
Yes.
And in that time, I want to mention that there is a trend now picked up in the Wall Street Journal.
Yes.
And one of our loyal listeners, Pam, sent that into us. They talked about how pins are really becoming a top accessory.
Okay.
And I think that's really special because it's vintage, it's new, and it's really an opportunity for people to get those special things out, things that they like, and they can put them, some put them on their belt, on their scarf, all kinds of things. So I'm going to say, hey, Barbs, you heard it first from Barbs Tea Service, and we're going to ride that wave.
Very good.
Okay, so in our time remaining, I just want to mention that next week we have a very special podcast coming.
We do.
We're going to be celebrating our anniversary.
Wow. Can you even?
We're still going.
Okay.
Even after all the talks about
Yeah.
Meghan and recliners, we're still going strong.
Yeah.
And I want to also let people know that a lot of the topics that we talked about, Miss Austen, titles, etc., all will be they're all in our blogs, our previous blogs, and we'll put those links like we did last time.
Very good.
In our comments.
Okay.
Okay, and do I hear that
Yes,
sound?
you do. Here we go.
Okay, I want to thank all who are listening / watching. I want to thank On TV Studios for allowing us to be here. I want to thank Lord Gully.
All right.
Straight up. I'm not going to go through all that. And Arm Candy Chris for joining me as always. And as we like to say at Barb's Tea Service, please stay tuned.